it looks like. It's Froggy FriYAY! So, I've been at the 3D printer again. Let's see what we can do with this. Let's go play. Hello everyone, welcome to NERDGOBLIN Art. I'm Lula. So we have this 3D printed frog. It's like wall art if you want to look it up online. I will try and pop it in the description box below. I'm going to be using some UV resin and some alcohol inks. So the first thing I need to do is get the bottom taped up. This is kind of the best thing I've got at the moment. I could probably have done with getting some of the specific tape that you can get for like jewelry making, but I thought, you know, I'll give this a go anyway, just to see if it's okay. And it's all overlapping and I can make sure it's firmly down. And I'm just gonna pop some lollipop sticks or popsicle sticks, sorry, on each end, just so I can get a little bit of purchase for picking it up and down, because I am gonna need to use the lamp front and back. Magic. So I've got my gloves on and we're gonna start filling up this mould. Now I want it to look like a stained glass window. So there's gonna be, I'm just choosing a couple of different colors. I'm not gonna be going crazy on this occasion. I definitely wanna do the greens and I've already pulled out a few. The inks I'm using today are FansArriche. I don't know if that's the right way to say it, but there you go. I'll link them in the description box below. Wasn't too expensive and I was running out of inks and I found these and I'm really happy with them. This one is a bit of a neon-y type, and I noticed that when I was using the lamp it really was glowing up. It doesn't say that on the bottle, but you know, that's cool. Always make sure as well that you shake up your alcohol inks because the pigment likes to settle on the bottom. I'm also making sure that I am gently and carefully stirring in the alcohol ink. I will be using my long neck lighter as well for any bubbles. I'm just trying to be careful and leaving enough time for that alcohol ink to settle a little bit into the UV resin. And I'm using JDiction UV resin today, and I'm also going to be doing these in layers, just so I know that the resin is getting nicely cured, and also turning it over and doing it on both sides. So this project is essentially going to take a little while because of the amount of layers. I'm only going to be doing 2 layers per shape, but because I'm doing them for a certain amount of times, it's going to be a longer project. So I will be speeding you up. I'm just going slightly slower on pads just so you can see what I'm doing, and I will also turn the camera off between as well, once you get the idea of what direction I'm going in, so that we're not here all day. I am aware that this is packaging tape that I'm using, so I do have to be wary of potential escape of the UV resin. So I am keeping a close eye on that. This was printed on the filament printer, our Bamboo Lab one, and it didn't really want to stick completely down in some places, whereas other parts, it was really stuck down good. So it was just a little bit strange. I don't want colours. Oh, I can't. I'm treating it like I would do. I like to do a lot of colouring in books. You know, the grown-up, really into like the intricate ones. So I want it to match. I want it to be symmetrical. And so that's what I'm going for. And you can see there where I'm scooping my silicone tool and pushing down, I was getting some leakage on these parts. So I just quickly used my torch just so that I could try and control it a little bit before grabbing the lamp. So we're going on to the other side now, and I've angled the frog around because I wanted his legs to be in the same position, just so I didn't make a mistake. So I made sure that moved it around, giving it a wiggle around, just to make sure. I'm not filming doing much of the second top-ups into the shapes either, but I have told you that that's what I'm doing. So just, you know, just to be aware of that as well. So, what's Froggy Friday, or FriYAY as I like to call it? Well, it's a collaboration that was first brought about by Karen from the Dragon's Cave and helped by Lisa from Girl in the Garage, and myself and Tim the Base Resonator and Gert from Gert Creates started helping out and taking on every week. So, and here we are. Everybody's welcome to join. You can email any one of us. There'll be links in my description box below. And if you're in the Discord groups, you can also access the Froggy Friday tabs in there. So, you know, feel free to reach out. It doesn't have to be resin. It can be any form of medium that you wish. It could even be a cake. So join in, have fun. You know, it's a great way of getting your channel seen as well, because our lists, we can, I think the most we've had is about 21 on a Friday, and it's great fun going around everybody's premieres, like a bit like a pub crawl on a Friday, but not costing you any money. So there you are. I hope you have a think about joining in. So I've moved on to the next colour now, and this is an emerald green. I just wanted to put that just at the sides of the mould, and you can see again there, it's decided to try and escape the confines. So quickly moving with the lamp. On to lemon yellow. I wanted a colour specifically to kind of contrast the green. It's probably important that you know that if you are new to using resin, be it epoxy or UV, when you're using alcohol ink, specifically with UV resin, you have to be wary of the heat of your lamp. So in most cases, you're better off with the inks is holding the lamp up higher and then bringing it down, because it can, you'll see an example of it later on one of the next parts where I specifically wanted the effect for that. But with doing this part, I don't want the resin to look all wrinkled and have lumps and bumps in it. So you start off holding your lamp up higher and then gradually bringing it down. So that is for the best. Make sure you do that if you are going to give this a go, because I realised that I stopped recording whenever I was bringing my lamp over, so you won't have seen that part. So I don't want you potentially having a go at something like this and wondering why that's happening, because obviously you can see that this is a really nice smooth job going on. I'd like to thank my subscribers for subscribing. We're getting incredibly close to the 2000 mark, and it is mind-blowing. It doesn't seem that long ago that we hit the 1000, and I said then, and I'll say it again, I never expected to hit 10, 20, 30, so I truly appreciate it, and I say it each time. I read I read all the comments. I try to reply to everyone's comments. It brings me some kind of joy. I really enjoy it, and I love the little community that's being created, and love seeing all the, you know, everyone coming in to premieres and chatting and having fun. So thank you for that, and also to my members. You are a wonderful bunch, and I appreciate you very, very much. If you're not a subscriber, please consider doing so. It's absolutely free, and it just helps me grow my channel. So I've got out it's called normal white. It's not labelled as a sinker, so I figured they would be okay to use. I've not used it before, as you'll see, because I had to use a pin to get it open. And I wanted to give the frog, I just wanted another bit of a contrast there with the frog's eyes. So it's only one drop. I don't want it to be too thick so that the UV resin can't penetrate through it. So I'm mixing it in, and I am happy with just the one drop. And I'm going to be making sure, absolutely sure, that I'm only doing a small amount first and then adding it to the next layer. But I am also curing this both front and back. So that has had 2 layers of the white, and I'm really pleased actually that it seems to have worked. And next is the black. Black is probably the hardest one of the alcohol inks to do whilst you're doing the UV resin. It's the one that's probably most likely to try and buckle up a little bit and go a bit funny. So that's why I'm happy with it being opaque. The space is very, very small, and again, I'm making sure that I'm going to be doing it in 2 layers, and again, both front and back. Doesn't need to be a lot. I made up a little bit too much of that, but that's okay. I queued it anyway, and the leftover went into my bits box, ready for helping with filler for any other bigger projects. So this is all done and cured, and this was the moment of truth, really, if it will have worked. And I am glad that I put the lollipop sticks on each end, because it kind of helped quite a bit, to be honest with you, with moving it round, picking it up and stuff. There's only a few bits on here that I need to sort out, a little bit of trimming where it leaked out a little bit, but all in all, I'm really, really pleased with it. And are there bubbles? Yes, but you know what, I really, really don't mind. It's a frog, and in my imagination he might have just jumped out of a pond, so therefore it's okay to have a few little bubbles on him. But all in all, for a first try, I think it's, you know, really quite good. The print, I think I've said that I will list it in the description box below, and you can look them up. And I think some sellers, I think you can find things like this on Etsy. I haven't properly looked into it, but there are loads. Mainly, I've only mainly seen them on Etsy, but if you are interested in somebody printing up one of these, if you don't happen to have a printer, there are ways of just getting them printed as they are, like I showed you when I first started it. So you can do little projects like this. I found the snippers easier, so I finished doing that off camera so I could concentrate properly. And there he is all cleaned up. There's a few tiny little areas that I can't get to, but you can't see them on camera. I can't see them on camera, and that's fine. I'm happy with that. And he's looking really good. So, what am I doing with this? Do you recognize this mold? You should do, because the lovely Rosemary sent it to me via Happy Mail a few weeks ago, and I did a video on making the wind chime then. And although, and I'm going to be honest, it is the mold itself is fine. It's simple and easy, as you'll see while I'm doing this. Is the constructing part of the actual wind chime that can be a little bit complicated. But once you know what you're doing, I think it's an awesome mold. And I said at the time that I was so going to be using this again. And I decided as soon as I saw this wall art piece, frog, that I wanted to use it to create a wind chime. Now, it's UV resin. It's probably not for outdoors. You know, if you're in a hot country, it's gonna bend and warp eventually by the sun, and it will degrade. I'm in the UK myself, and I do have one of the wind chime, the one I made originally. It's still outside on my porch, but I don't live in a hot country, and it's under a porch as well, so it's not going to get too much sun there. But this make I want for by my front door in my passageway, so that's what I'm making it for. And I'm doing it all with UV resin, because this mold, you can do it both sides. But I also want the discs to look a bit rough and ready, so I'm going to do what I told you not to do at the start, and I am going to be putting my lamp over it to warp her a bit. And I've switched to my resin rockers lamp as well for that reason, because I can turn the heat up a little bit. I got control of heat on that one, so I've switched from the JDiction one to the resin rockers lamp. So now I'm doing the next lot. I'm only going to do a round. I've done the one round with the lighter green and yellow, and this one I'm going to be doing with the emerald green and the lemon yellow. And once you dot it all in, as I'm doing here, and then as you saw on the first part, I just empty the UV resin into there, and it helps it all move about. You might not have seen as well, because I forgot to show it to the camera, I also sprinkled on some of my favourite diamond frost glitter onto those ones, but I'm not doing it with this one. Now you pour it on, and look at that. It's such a simple and easy technique, and it gives you a really great effect. And you know, the more colours you add, the more you're gonna get out of it. But be wary of colours like the pinks and the pink purples and such, because they can and they will stain your mould. Now, it's not going to harm it in any way. It won't come off again if, you know, in the future, but it doesn't look so great. And, you know, it's just a pain in the bum. But there you are. So I'm using my long neck lighter just to make sure there's not too many bubbles. But again, I'm not massively bothered at the same time, especially as this is for me in my living room, in my passageway by my front door. So I'll get a lovely little chime when somebody walks in. And when the front and back doors are open, I always get a lovely bit of a breeze coming through the house. And I'm just using my silicone tool just to go around the edges, but it's more so to bring the ink out a little bit. The darker green kind of went to the edges a bit. My table is level, but for some reason it seemed to be wanting to rush over as well. But like I said, I'm making sure that I am having them a little bit warped. Like in my imagination, I was thinking of lily pads on, you know, with these discs. I'm not going to be using all of them either for this make, but I can save them for other times. So those have had a round, and I remembered I had a few little glow-in-the-dark frogs left over, and I just thought, you know, it'd just be a bit of extra fun if I just got a few of them, a little dot of UV resin, and just pop them onto the discs just for I nearly swore then, it's in giggles, things in giggles. I just thought they were cute, and I've only got this many left as well. I might order more at some point, depending on any projects I might have in mind, but I do have a lot of glow-in-the-dark ducks still as well. I overestimated how many I needed for a particular project, so I figured these were perfect for that. And because they glow a little bit, the lighter green and the, you know, the neon-y ones, because they actually do glow, and the emerald green and lemon yellow ones don't, I just thought, you know, let's put something on them that will glow a little bit, just so it all ties in a little. I do also cure these on the reverse side. I actually ran out of JDiction UV resin. I know it's crazy. I'm not the biggest fan of this UV resin. It was sitting on my shelf after I tried it before and wasn't a big fan. But thankfully I kept it, so I can still finish off the project while I order some more of my favourite UV resin. So all these are cured, and I gave them some extra time under the lamp as well, and Mr. Goblin very kindly drilled a hole into the frog. I didn't want it central because I wanted the frog to be leaning slightly. And what I have done is I'm gonna show you in normal time. This part isn't sped up at all. I'm just showing you the process of how I personally thread the wind chime parts using this, I'm not sure what to call it. Would it be like fishing line perhaps? It came with the set. You get so much of it. So this is going to be project number 2 out of one lovely buy, which, as I said, was from Rosemary. I have an Amazon wish list in my description box below, and that's how people, you know, get me a few little bits and pieces, which is really kind, and it truly makes my day. And I think it's great that I can get a bunch of uses out of some of the things I'm sent. So once again, thank you, Rosemary. She's a big fan herself of wind chimes and such as that, and thought that it would make me smile, and they truly do. I've never really had many about, but now I'm like, oh, I want one there, I want one there. I've got my back garden as well with decking, and I'm like, ooh, and you know, thinking of things to do, but I'm going to be waiting to get hold of some of the Let's Resin epoxy, which I believe has the UV protection to it, the light, you know, for the sun. So I will be hanging out for that one before I do anything to go into my back garden. I am also cheating, and I'm using a UV resin to secure bits in place. Because I know this isn't going outdoors, I figured, why not? I do kind of wish that what I had left in the actual chime parts, I do kind of wish that I had maybe some green and gold ones or green and yellow ones, but do you know what? A little bit of colour is absolutely fine. I do take a few moments to decide how I'm going to do this. I don't like tying the knots in this stuff, so I decided to do as I did last time and seal the parts using some UV resin. It's pretty strong stuff, and I make sure that it's UV'd both front and back, and then I turn it, once it's turned over and I've given it some UV torch, I then add another drop of the UV resin on top. And to be fair, I think it's very secure. The one I did a few weeks ago, which is still outdoors under my porch, it gets, you know, really windy by there, and it's still all in one piece and nothing has come off it. So I was quite happy to do it this way. Now, it may not be the way that it should be done, but it works for me, and I highly recommend doing what works for you as well. And I tied this piece onto the bottom of the leg, and I'm going to UV resin it to the actual make now, and then I can snip off the excess string. I'll be fully honest, I should have had gloves on. I could have put gloves on. I wasn't touching any of the resin, but I am aware of the torch on, you know, on my skin and stuff. So I do recommend you put your gloves on. It had been a very, very long day by now, because this project had taken me a little while, basically the whole day. Don't ask, it really did take me ages. But there's the first one done, and I'm just snipping off that little bit of excess string. So I've shown you that one more or less in normal time, other than the using of the torch. So I'll do a second one sped up so that you can see the process. Did you see the it just happens, the string's terrible. So attached it up to the top of the leg, and now I'm just gonna thread the beads. I found these beads, by the way, in the bottom of my drawer. They're I used to childmind. I was a childminder for more than 10 years, and I've still got a few bits and pieces hanging around that I had for crafts with the children. Some things I sold, gave away and whatnot, but other things I was like, that might come in handy one day. So I found these. They're just little wooden beads. They're the big colourful bag, but I kind of dug out just the greens and yellows of the ones I liked, and figured it'd be perfect for decorating this piece with. I believe they were from Hobbycraft in the UK, but I'm absolutely positive you can get these kind of beads. They are wooden, you can get them anywhere. I've seen them on Temu, I've seen them on Amazon, and I've seen them in practically every craft shop I have ever stepped foot into. I'm treating them almost like sewing. So I'm putting the string through once, and then I'm looping it to go back on itself. And that process seems to work really well with the discs too. I wanted to make sure that they were all slightly different lengths up and down. So that's what I'm doing here, is just making sure that the length worked for me, because obviously the idea of the wind chimes, the chime parts are kind of to knock into each other. So that's what I was just making sure of there. So I'll stop recording at this point, and I will carry on with the last two and come back when it's done. So here we are we ready? Ta-da! I'm really pleased, I really love it. Oh, and by the way, I did UV resin, clear resin over the top of the frog, both front and back, just to make it a little bit stronger and for it to have a really nice glossy look, but I didn't see the need in filming that one. So it's got the 4 strings on it, and I think that's plenty. I think it works really well. I will show you it hanging up in my passageway. It's not going to tinkle so much, but you get the idea. And I also added the string to the top with a few beads and an extra piece. I'm really, I love it. I really hope you enjoyed watching, and I hope that you do check out the collaboration list, which I have down below. You know, there are so many gifted artists that take part, and I hope you check them out and help them grow as well. Thank you for watching. Love you and stay weird.
In a room full of colors and swirls, Nerd Goblin art draws a magic worlds, with foxes that prance and badgers that dance, a whirlwind of dreams with a single glance. Gerald the alligator grins so wide, in enchanted waters he loves to hide. Dragons breathe wonder with flames so bright, each creature born from a magic night. Nerd Goblin paints life in every brush, animals frolic in a vibrant rush. From canvases to tales they leap, in a realm where fantasy meets deep. The studio's alive with swirling paint, creatures so pure they need no saint. Sketches of foxes with tails of light, badgers with moonlit fur and